I was sitting in the lobby of a hotel downtown, wearing a white wedding gown that now felt like a cruel joke. The staff didn't know what to do with me. I'd walked in without a purse, phone in hand, veil slipping off, and makeup melting. People stared. Some offered help. I ignored them all. I just needed to breathe, to not collapse. Only hours ago, I was going to marry Ryan Carter, a billionaire tech heir who said he'd love me forever. We'd been together for 3 years. Passionate, intense, kind of toxic in hindsight. But I believed him. Or maybe I just wanted to. That morning, he was getting dressed. My dress was zipped. The guests were arriving. And then came the call. Alina, I can't do this. What are you talking about? My father said if I go through with it, I lose everything. The company, the estate, he's pulling it all. And you're letting him? I love you, but I can't give it all up. I'm sorry. Click. No explanation. No showing up. Nothing. So I ran. 3 blocks from the wedding venue was a business hotel. I collapsed on their lobby sofa like my spine had given out. That's when he walked in. A man in a fitted black suit, no tie, messy hair, stormy eyes. He looked like chaos with money and rage. He was shouting into his phone. Not violently, but the kind of frustration you can feel in your bones. Zara, you don't get it. If I'm not married by midnight, it's all gone. Not just the money, the trust, the company, the house. Everything my mother left me too. Pause. No, I'm not being dramatic. I'm begging you. It's one night. A fake wedding. Just your signature and you walk away richer. Then silence. Then a hard, bitter, fine. Enjoy your broke future. He ended the call and slumped onto the other couch directly across from me. That's when he saw me. Me. A ghost bride, hunched over like someone ripped her heart out. Him. A man burning alive behind his eyes. We stared for a moment, both of us probably wondering what fresh hell the other had just walked out of. You too? He finally asked, nodding to my dress. I gave a cold smile. Left at the altar. He gave a half laugh, then muttered, At least you got as far as the altar. He stood up and walked toward me like he was weighing something. Then, out of nowhere, he said it. Marry me? I blinked. What? Tonight. We get it done legally. I keep my inheritance. You get, I don't know, revenge? Closure? I stared at him. You want to marry a stranger in a hotel lobby? He shrugged. You're wearing the dress already. I should have walked away. But something in his eyes wasn't fake. It wasn't some playboy dare or bet. It was real desperation, and I had nothing left to lose. For the next episode of the story. You're serious? I asked, still not sure if this was real or just the strangest hallucination my brain had ever created under stress. Dead serious, he replied, pulling a silver pen from his pocket like this was just another business deal. I stared at him. His eyes were sharp, blue like broken glass under moonlight. Cold, but not empty. There was something else there. Panic, desperation. A drowning man trying to cling to anything solid. Why me? I asked again. You're in a wedding dress, he said flatly, like that explained it. You're clearly not attached anymore. I don't have time for dating apps or fake fiancés. I need a signature, legally binding, tonight. I glanced at the large digital clock over the reception desk. 11:07 p.m. You're insane, I muttered. He leaned forward, voice low. I'll transfer $1 million into your name the moment it's done. I'll disappear from your life if that's what you want. You never have to see me again. I blinked. $1 million. My heart was still broken, my mascara still ruined, my entire life unraveling. And now I was being offered a clean slate, with a marriage license attached. I don't want your money, I whispered. I want to feel like I wasn't thrown away today. That made him pause. Then, softer than before, he said, Me too. The hotel manager was half asleep in his office when we knocked. Turns out he was ordained. New York never ceases to surprise. We sat on opposite ends of the office as he pulled out a dusty leather binder full of paperwork. Names? He asked without looking up. Damien Black, he said. Alina Whitmore, I murmured. The pen shook in my fingers as I signed the paper. This wasn't how I pictured my wedding day. No vows, no music. Just a stranger in a black suit in a cold hotel room. Do you, Damien Black, take this woman? I do. Do you, Alina Whitmore, take this man? My heart stuttered. Then I looked at Damien, and he wasn't the cold billionaire anymore. He looked just as wrecked as I felt. I do. The clock struck 11:56 p.m. as he said, You just saved my life. And I had no idea how much he'd end up changing mine. I woke up in a king-sized bed that wasn't mine, in a penthouse that felt more like a museum than a home. The last thing I remembered was signing the marriage license and Damien handing me a sleek black card. "Use it for whatever you need. Stay here until you figure things out," he'd said. "And you?" "I have meetings." Meetings. As if we hadn't just made the most reckless decision two strangers could make. I stood up slowly, still wearing my now crumpled wedding dress. It was smeared with champagne stains and mascara. I pulled it off like shedding a skin and found a robe laid neatly on a chair, a tag still on it. The penthouse was quiet. Too quiet. Like even the air had been told to keep secrets. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over Manhattan, twinkling in the dawn light. Damien's world was rich, sterile, and full of ghosts. There were no family photos, no clutter, just expensive emptiness. I wandered toward the kitchen. A note sat on the counter, scrawled in tight handwriting. "Flight to London rescheduled. Back by Friday. Stay as long as you need." He was gone, just like that. I didn't know what I expected. A kiss? Morning after coffee? Regret? Instead, I felt hollow. What did I just do? I tried to shake it off. I explored the place, finding clothes in my size somehow already stocked in the guest bedroom closet. The fridge had sparkling water, 2 bottles of wine, and absolutely no food. This man didn't live here. He hid here. Later that day, a woman buzzed the penthouse. A delivery, a single box, no return label. Inside, I found a folded note and a small velvet jewelry box. "For what it's worth, thank you. You don't owe me anything. But you saved me. Damien." The box held a wedding band. Delicate. White gold. My size. I didn't cry until I put it on. Not because I was in love, but because I realized I wasn't free. I was now the wife of a man I didn't even know. And the worst part? Some broken part of me wanted to know him. By Friday night, Damien was back. I was sitting by the penthouse's rooftop garden, more like a marble balcony with potted plants and a view of the skyline that could make a poet weep. The wind tangled my hair as I sipped wine straight from the bottle. Screw the glass. The elevator dinged. Footsteps echoed. And then he appeared. Black suit, no tie, jacket slung over his shoulder, exhaustion clinging to him like smoke. We didn't speak at first. He walked over, loosened his collar, and sat across from me on the bench. "I see you found the wine." I shrugged. "You left it. I assumed it was fair game, like me." He flinched. "Good." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "I didn't mean to make you feel like this was transactional." "Isn't it?" I said, voice sharper than I meant. "You needed a name. I had a broken heart and a dress." Silence. He looked away. "I don't do well with people." "Or marriage?" I added. "You were practically allergic to the word wife." That made him smile. Faint, tired, but real. Then he did something I didn't expect. He poured himself a glass and sat closer. Not touching me, just near. "I know you don't owe me anything," he said. "But I need to say this. I was a wreck when we met. You saw 5% of it. The rest, it wasn't pretty. Then why were you so desperate to stay in that life?" He stared out at the skyline. "Because when all you have is money, you convince yourself it's the only thing worth protecting." I studied him. Damien Black, billionaire, enigma, emotional grenade wrapped in Armani. And yet there he was, vulnerable in the quiet. "You're not who I thought you were," I said softly. He turned to me. "Who did you think I was?" Cold, calculated, dangerous. He leaned in slightly. "And now?" I paused. My heart skipped. "Still dangerous," I whispered, "but maybe not as cold. That night, we didn't kiss. We didn't touch. But we sat there for hours, two broken people orbiting the same loneliness, pretending the stars above us didn't feel like witnesses to something starting, something messy, something real. The night everything changed. It started with music, old vinyl records crackling through hidden speakers in the penthouse living room. Damien had left the door open, unusual. The song playing? The night we met? Poetic or ironic, I couldn't tell. I hovered in the hallway in one of the silk robes he'd had delivered. My feet were bare. My mind was racing. I should have turned back. I knew better. But grief and heartbreak have a way of making you do stupid things. And healing. God, healing is lonely. He was by the bar, sleeves rolled, pouring 2 glasses of bourbon. "You always drink this much?" I asked, voice too soft, too curious. He looked up slowly. "Only when I don't want to feel anything. And tonight." He held 1 glass out to me. "Tonight, I want to feel something." Our fingers brushed. That was all it took. We didn't kiss like lovers. We clung to each other like survivors. His lips were desperate. My hands were shaking. We moved through rooms like we couldn't breathe unless we were closer. His shirt landed somewhere near the piano, my robe on the floor beside the wall-sized window. There were no words, no names, just sounds. Gasping, breathing, whispers of things we didn't mean. It wasn't romantic, it was raw. It was as lonely, and it was real in the most dangerous way. For a few stolen hours, we weren't strangers. We weren't broken things. We were just two people who didn't want to be alone anymore. But morning came like a blade. The room was bright, too bright. My head pounded, but not from alcohol, from regret. Damien was already awake, staring out at the city skyline, shirtless, still like a statue of guilt. I sat up slowly. "I should go," I whispered. He didn't turn around. "Go where?" "Anywhere but here." Finally, he looked at me. "You can't just pretend this didn't happen. It shouldn't have happened." He walked over, slow, calm, too calm. His voice dropped lower. "You're my wife, Alina. What did you think was going to happen eventually?" My stomach flipped. The temperature in the room changed. "I thought you'd stay distant," I said, trembling. "I thought I'd leave when it felt safe." He stepped closer, too close. "You think I can just let you walk away now?" And for the first time since the night we met, I was scared. 3 years later, and the truth in her eyes. I left the same way I arrived, quietly, without warning, in the middle of the night. No note, no forwarding address. I packed what little I had, slipped off the wedding ring he gave me, and disappeared before he woke up. I thought I was escaping him, but I didn't know yet. I was carrying a part of him with me. Time passed. The city lights were traded for a sleepy seaside town with peeling paint and cobbled streets. I bought a tiny flower shop on impulse and named it Evelyn's Garden, before I even knew I was pregnant. And when my daughter arrived with Damien's storm blue eyes and the same impossible fire in her smile, I promised myself, she'll never grow up in a world built on fear and fury. I raised her with stories, of hope, of strength, of starting over. But I never told her the truth, not until he walked through my door. It was a rainy Tuesday, the kind where the clouds sit heavy and memories feel louder. I was sweeping flower petals near the window when the bell above the door chimed, and I froze. He looked older, not aged, just calmer, grounded. A man who had walked through hell and come out the other side. "Alina," he said. My throat closed. Then Evelyn, our daughter, ran from the back room. Tiny sneakers squeaking, curls bouncing, and crashed into my legs with a giggle. "Mommy!" His world shattered the second he saw her. He didn't speak, just stared at her, then at me, his eyes filling like he'd been punched by time itself. "She's mine," he finally whispered. I nodded. We talked for hours that day. He told me everything, the therapy, the recovery, the loneliness, the crash that almost killed him, and the moment he realized losing me was worse than losing money. "I was selfish," he said. "I treated you like a fix. You were the only real thing in my life, and I tried to possess you instead of love you." I said nothing. "You don't owe me anything," he added. "But I needed you to know I became someone I'm proud of, even if I never see her again. Or you. But I wanted him to see her. And slowly he became part of her world. Picnics, paintings, building a dollhouse that collapsed twice before she approved it. He was gentle now, patient, present. And one afternoon, on the 3-year anniversary of our chaotic wedding, I found Evelyn in the backyard holding a little velvet box. "Mommy, Daddy says it's your turn to say yes." I turned, and there he was. Damien, kneeling in the grass, no tuxedo, no wealth behind him. Just a man asking again. Not for his future, but for ours. "This time," he said softly, "no pressure, no contracts, just love. Real love. Will you marry me again?" I didn't cry. I smiled and said yes, finally, yes. The garden grows. We married again. This time barefoot in the garden, Evelyn tossing rose petals she picked herself. And this time I didn't feel like a stranger in a gown. He felt like someone who had bled, healed, and bloomed, not for a billionaire.